Bright QT. Every student matters.
Hello children, welcome to the session. In this session children, we are going to start with our lesson air around us. Okay, so children, this is a very interesting topic. So let us now begin with this. So children, we cannot see air but we can feel it. All of us know that. So children, I can tell you some of the ways in which you can feel the presence of air. But do you know that what is wind, children? What is wind? So children, fast moving air is called as wind. This is the fast moving air. And children, air is present all around us and we can observe some of the examples from our daily life where we can observe children that and where we can feel that air is present around us. And how we can do that, children? Suppose we have turned on our fan, then we can observe our hair moving, we can observe a tablecloth moving because of the air. So this proves that air is around us, right? And we can also observe these clothes, children, which are dried outside, and we can observe them that they are moving. Why they are moving? Because of the presence of air. Okay, and children, we have these windmills, and children, the blades of these windmills moves because of fast moving air, which is known as wind. And so children, do you know where these are set up? Windmills are set up in the areas where the wind is mostly moving very fast. Okay, because only the fast moving wind will be able to rotate these blades, and because of the rotating blades we are able to generate electricity. This is one of the uses of these windmills, children. Okay, what are other examples from your daily life that you can see through which you can feel the presence of air? You can see this. So children, you can also make a simple firki for yourself like this using origami paper or colored piece of paper, and you can point it in any direction, and the blades of this firki will rotate in the direction of wind or in the direction of moving air. Also children, you can see a number of examples around yourself that can make you feel the presence of air around you. Whenever cool wind blows, you can feel it on your skin, right? What it is the presence of air around yourself. Again, another one of the most favorite part-time of children is flying kites. So children, how is kite able to move in the atmosphere? Kite moves because of the presence of air. If there were no air, you won't be able to fly your kites. Okay, so children, also what are the other examples? You can observe the leaves of trees moving with wind. Okay, this also proves the presence of air or wind around us. Okay children, so children, you need not cram any of the examples, or for that matter you need not cram anything from this chapter, because children, you can observe these things just by looking around yourself, just being aware about your surroundings. Okay, so just be aware about your surroundings and you can answer any question that would be asked from this session, from this topic. Okay, so let us now move ahead, children. We are going to conduct an activity which is going to prove the presence of air. Okay children, so let's just read about it. You might not have seen air, nobody can see air, everyone knows that, but surely you must have felt the presence of it in so many ways. You notice it when the leaves of the trees rustle, that is when the leaves of the trees move, or the clothes hanging on a clothesline sway. Pages of an open book begin fluttering when the fan is switched on, right? These are some of the most common examples, children, that you can see around yourself which can indicate the presence of air. Okay, so children, also we have learnt about a process known as winnowing in chapter separation of substances, right, where we used the speed of wind in order to separate the lighter particles from the heavier ones. For example, we used the process of winnowing for separating the mixture of grains from husk, and everyone of us know that husk is very, very light as compared to the grain. So what we did was, we had a stool and we will stand on this stool and we will take the grains in a tray, which we generally call as soup, and behind us we will place a table fan, and with the speed of wind, and we will tilt this tray so that the mixture falls slowly, okay, and as the mixture slides from this tray, the lighter dust particles will be carried away by the wind, and here the heap of grains could be collected, okay, and this process was known as winnowing. This process is again, children, an example which proves the presence of air, okay. Winnowing is effective in moving air, okay, which is fast moving is beneficial for this, fast moving air. So you might have noticed that during the storms the wind blows at a very high speed, and it may even uproot the trees, which and blows off the rooftops. So these are some of the common examples which proves the presence of air and wind, okay. So let's now move ahead, children. We are going to conduct an activity which proves that even when the air is not moving very fast, you cannot feel the wind, or you cannot see whether whether there is air or not, but air is still present there, okay. This might sound a little tricky, but it is really simple, trust me, okay. So let's now move ahead. So children, in this activity, what you are going to do is you will take an empty water bottle. You will take an empty water bottle and you will take a trough or any bucket full of water, and what you are going to do is you will invert this bottle over this trough like this, as you can see in this image 1, right children. So what you have done, you have taken an empty bottle. Is this really empty, or does this have something? So children, this bottle is completely empty. So do you think something is there? Is air present in it also? And we are just about to figure it out with this activity. We have turned it upside down, and you will, children, when you are pushing it inside the container of water, you will feel certain pressure, okay. You will feel the pressure over from water, and it will be really difficult for you to just stick it in water, and you will observe that no water enters this bottle. Why children? Why water cannot enter this bottle? Because this bottle is already full of air. So what you can do is, now you will just tilt it a little bit and you will observe the bubbles of air coming upwards in the water. So children, the air which was present in the bottle starts escaping now once you have tilted it a little bit, and as the water escapes, as the air escapes from the bottle, the water will start entering the bottle. And children, this proves that even when a bottle or any container looks empty, it is not actually empty, it has air in it, okay. So children, this is an activity which proves the presence of air, and it proves that air is present everywhere around us. We can prove the presence of air with one more interesting example, where you are blowing a balloon. So children, when you are blowing a balloon, what you are doing? You are filling this balloon with air, right? You are filling it with air. So when you are filling it with air, it means that air is present around us, and air is occupying space. That is why the balloon is becoming bigger. So children, these are all the activities and the examples from daily life which proves the presence of air everywhere around us.
Fill a fish tank or a large-sized trough about 2/3 full of water. Take an empty plastic bottle and dip the open mouth of the bottle into the trough. What do you observe? Water does not enter the bottle, as the bottle is already filled with air, and there is no way for the air to escape from the bottle. Now, tilt the bottle slightly and observe air in the form of bubbles starts coming out of the bottle. Water now enters the bottle to fill up the empty space created by the escaping air. This activity shows that air occupies space.
Next children, the next topic is what is atmosphere. So children, our earth is surrounded by a blanket of air, okay, and this blanket of air is known as the atmosphere. So the earth is surrounded by an envelope or blanket of air which extends up to 1,000 kilometers into the space, and it is known as the atmosphere. So children, this question can come up to 1 mark, and so you should remember this definition, that that the earth is surrounded by an envelope of air which extends up to 1,000 kilometers up into space, and this is known as atmosphere. Okay. So children, also we know that as we move higher in the atmosphere, say towards mountains, the air gets rarer. That is the also children, that is the air becomes rarer, and also children, oxygen availability of oxygen is very less at the mountain areas, and this is the reason why mountaineers have to carry their oxygen cylinders when they are climbing the mountains. Oxygen cylinders. Okay. And children, there was a scientist Lavoisier in 1777. He proved that air is mixture of two gases, the vital air which is known as oxygen and azote which is known as nitrogen today. Okay. The vital air which is oxygen is essential for combustion and respiration, whereas azote did not support either, because nitrogen is required by mostly plants and certain type of bacterias. Okay children, there are other roles for nitrogen which you are going to learn about in your higher grades. For now you need to remember that the most essential gas which is present in our atmosphere is oxygen, which is essential for us. Okay. So children, in this session we learnt about what is air, what is wind, then we discussed about certain examples like flying kite, moving leaves, movement of the blades of this firki, windmills, the movement of clothes, inflating a balloon. All these examples prove that air is present around us. Then we discussed about the process of winnowing, which makes use of the speed of wind in order to separate lighter particles from the heavier ones. Then children, we discussed an activity through which we found out that air is present everywhere around us, and also children, we learnt that the mountaineers have to carry with them the oxygen cylinders because the air gets rarer at heights, and also the availability of oxygen is very less at mountains. Okay children, and I really hope that you would have understood the concept really well.